Hello and welcome to my March highlights video. I can't believe March has come round and gone already. It's just happened so quickly. I swear time's getting faster and faster. So looking back on the month of March, I've had a lot of fun. We've enjoyed the release of 8.1.5, which brought with it the tools of the trade for enchanting and tailoring for myself, which I did both of the quests for, and it really has affected the markets for enchanting and to some small extent tailoring as well. And we'll see that in the numbers coming up. I've had a lot of fun with the new content that's come out. We've enjoyed doing more dungeons. I really enjoyed the quests for the tools of the trade. They were a nice little addition, even though I know a lot of them weren't that useful. I really enjoyed doing the enchanting ones and the tailoring ones. So overall, I've had a feeling that certainly in the latter half of the month, sales have gone down from what they used to be. Certainly when I open the mail on stream, my mailboxes have been quite a bit lower than they had normally. So I'm not expecting a massive month this month, but this is a good chance to reflect on what I have been buying, where I'm at, and what I can do next in terms of making gold, and what other new markets I can maybe look into. So let's bring up the spreadsheet. So this is my spreadsheet of March. Now, I went through a video on how I make these spreadsheets. I'll put a link to that in the description below. Basically, what I've got here is a summary of all my professions by purchase and sales, categorized by profession, so I can have a look and see how things have done. We'll also have a look and compare that with February just to see where everything's at. So looking first here at tailoring. So we have the usual assortment of things. There's some good things here that have sold quite well, like this black swashbucklers shirt. 3 of those for an average buy price of $4.49. Cindercloth pants, that was a new one, I managed to sell for $3,000. An enchanted spell thread, it's another one for $1,300 there. We had a good deal of hexweave bags for a nice price of $1,400, so the price of those has gone up. This is mainly because of 8.1.5 and people making the new allied races. So I didn't sell a huge amount of them, I only sold 12, but that's a good amount of 17,000 then. One Hydrall Expedition bag, seems to be a monthly thing for me, that one. And then a usual number of shirts over here, a couple of Shadowweave masks for a reasonable price, and then again down here, Silkweave satchels, 51 of those, again reflecting on the allied races coming out, people creating new characters, and so that's a total of 31,000 in sales just on those. Average buy price obviously of 621. Now we've got a range of Sinister Combatants satin gear here. Nothing too amazing, but there are some good sales, and the prices are reasonably high still, for like 12,000, 8,000, 6,000, a few lower ones here at 1,000 and 2,000, but overall I think Sinister Combatants gear is still selling. It's probably slowed down a little bit compared to February, but there's some good numbers here, which has helped bulk out the sales of my tailoring. So going down here, I got a grand total of 302,000 in sales on tailoring, so that in itself sounds quite good. If we compare that with February, February had a total of 390,000, so slightly less than that. I think I've got a few more Sinister gears, looking at the numbers there roughly, and we did 10 hexweave bags then, so not a great deal of hexweave bags, but only 20 silkweave satchels compared to the 52 we did in March, so you can see some differences there, probably an increase in bags and a decrease in Sinister Combatants gear, which has resulted in that 390,000. So carrying on with March, we've got all the purchases. Now there's quite a lot of purchases here. You can see here, I bought some hexweave bags to try and reset the market. I bought 11 of those, average price of 955, which is less than my average sale price of 1,444, so that's a good direction to be in. I've also bought a lot of Shalderai silk for the Silkweave satchels, so 3,200 of that, cost me 15,000 in that, so if you take that off the Silkweave satchel profit here of 31,000, that's about a 15,000 profit, but then if you look here, I actually bought 28 Silkweave satchels for 15,000, which means I actually probably only broke even on Silkweave satchels. So on first thoughts, that looked good, but compare the two of them and it's not so good. So I had a look at how many Silkweave satchels I still had to sell, and I've actually got 15 still in stock that I'm waiting to sell. So even though we break even at this point, we've actually got stock of 15, which once it sells, hopefully for a higher price, will then make that into profit. Now this is going to be the theme of my March highlights, is I seem to be very much stock rich and cash poor. That is, I've been buying a lot of stuff this month, more than I probably should have, so I have quite a lot of stock at the moment that's still waiting to be either turned into something or sell itself, and so therefore my profits aren't showing as high this month. Because looking down here at my tailoring profit, it shows it at 131,000. Compare that with February, and February's profit was 302,000. I bought a lot less tie spray linen. I didn't do things like buying silkweave satchels. I did buy quite a lot of embroidered deep sea satin. And then looking back on March here, we've got a lot of tie spray linen bought, and I still have a good 10,000 of this left. So again, I'm very rich in the stock of tie spray linen, which I then need to turn into things. And then other things like here, the Shalderai silk and the satchels at 15,000, and buying out some hexweave bags at 10,000 means that I have actually spent a fair amount. And therefore, with the slightly less sales overall versus the increased spending over here, obviously my profit is down. So that was tailoring. Let's move on to the next one, which is an interesting one this month, because Enchanting saw some really big changes with the tools of the trade. The new Enchanting rod means that you get a lot more veiled crystals and umbra shards from doing the bracer super shuffle. So making bracers, disenchanting the blues, scrapping the greens, using the expulsum from those greens to make honourable combatants bracers, whichever's are the cheapest, and then disenchanting those and getting veiled crystals and umbra shards from those. We've been working through the numbers, and I've got a work in progress of the 8.1.5 numbers in the same spreadsheet as I did with my original bracer super shuffle. You can see that in another tab down below. It's still work in progress at the moment, but obviously the numbers there are much less. And you can see that reflected in the market prices as well. So enchant prices have gone down, the prices of the materials have gone down quite a bit, and also there's been, I think, a lot more competition for selling enchants. So overall, I haven't sold as much. That said though, I have still made some gold. We got a good price on that Binding Vigility. I made 61,000 there on critical strikes. Packs of Haste 82,000, packs of Mastery 41,000. The prices here are more like 2 and 1,000 gold here. Pack of Versatility there 51,000. And then obviously people have been buying the levelling enchants, like this Crusader one here and Elemental Force here. 6,000 in sales there. That's quite a cheap one though, but that's a lot of profit. I also managed to sell a cauldron and a pen, which was quite surprising. So that was quite nice. So my grand total of sales for March is 392,000. Which is pretty reasonable, I think. It could have been higher. I think I could have stayed on top of the markets quite a bit more than I did. I wasn't on at different times in the day. I didn't do as many cancel scans. I didn't do any relists in the morning as much as I could have done. So overall, with my playtime being slightly more restricted in March, has meant that I think sales have gone down, and I haven't been able to capitalise on people buying enchants and competing with everyone else who's trying to sell enchants. So then looking at the purchases, we have a fair amount of here. We did run out of Chaos Crystals for a while, so I had to buy quite a lot more. 106 average there. And then I also reset the market on packs of Hastes. So we actually spent 41,000 there on 20 packs of Hastes. And if you look at that, we did sell 35 of them for 82,000. So that is still a profit, thankfully. And then we did also buy Veiled Crystals at 285. Umbra Shards at 166. So this was before 8.1 came out and before I got the Enchanting Rod, which changed everything. So I won't be buying those at those prices in the future. But we did spend 180,000 gold, so therefore our profit is only coming in at 211,000. Now obviously with the Bracer Super Shuffle, a lot of my other enchanting mats come from the tailoring purchases and the leatherworking purchases, so those aren't necessarily reflected in there. But then if you compare this versus February, February was really good. We had an enchanting profit of 563,000, which was way better. So looking at this, yes, we still did buy veiled crystals, an average price of 523, but we also made a lot more in sales, 795,000. And you can see this reflected in the numbers here. The packs are selling, I sold more of them, and for a greater average price, 2,000 and 3,000. So therefore the profits on these were much, much higher. So unfortunately, with the prices coming down on the enchanting mats, the profit margins have really been squeezed. There's been more people selling them, there's been more competition, and therefore the profit margins have gotten less. The materials have gotten more in abundant supply, so the price of everything has dropped down. which is a shame because I really like Enchanting, but these are the markets you adapt to. So the things I'd be doing now is making sure I can still do the bracelet shuffle at a profit and try and sell as many enchants as I can, both old world and new world. So I may not see profits like this again, but hopefully we can at least keep it ticking over. So going back to March, let's have a look at the next one, which is leatherworking. Now leatherworking sales has been quite reasonable actually. We've sold a lot of Drums of Fury here, 460 of them for an 11,000 sale total there. Sinister Combatants gear has been ticking through quite nicely. Not huge numbers or huge amounts, but it's been self-sufficient. Irvin has his own capital now, so he can buy things and sell things himself without having to ask Samadan for any extra gold. So our total sales on leatherworking is 121,000. Now contrast this with the purchases we've made, and again we've made lots and lots of purchases. 91,000 in shimmer scale, that's to feed into enchanting mats. I spent 19,000 on mist scale, don't really need any more of that now, I've got a huge stock of that. I did buy 14,000's worth of coarse leather and a great big 41,000 on bloodstained bones. So again, I haven't used all this up, I have a whole load of it in my guild bank. So again, I'm stock rich on this, but that means my leatherworking profit is actually a negative amount of minus 70,000 gold. So leatherworking's been good in terms of the sales, but it's been offset drastically by me buying more and more things, trying to get my averages down on my purchase prices on all of these things to turn that into other things to make gold. If we look back onto February, the leatherworking there had 190,000 in sales, and again we had a negative on the leatherworking profit again for the same reason really. We bought a load of miscale, a load of hardened tempest hide, again more bloodstained bones. So leatherworking on its own, if you look at that, isn't showing a profit, but if you took off all of these shimmer scales, coarse leathers and bloodstained bones and move them over to enchanting, then this would show a profit. So carrying on back through in March, we've got cooking, which has been okay overall. We did sell some bear tartare and 25 bountiful captain's feasts, 10 galley banquets. I haven't really been doing much with cooking other than just let it tick on and restocking it as and when TSM has told me to. We did manage to sell a couple more of the vendor sausages, which was quite nice, but looking at this, we've made a lot of purchases here. We've overbought on Frenzied Fangtooth, we've overbought on Redtail Loach, and we've overbought on Stringy Loins, which has meant our actual cooking has gone down by minus 70,000, which is terrible. So I haven't kept an eye on my purchases, which has resulted in all this extra stock being bought. So overall, slightly disappointing on cooking on that front. And then miscellaneous, there's been a few things that we managed to sell. A Wataz double knotted cord for 21,000, that was a nice transmog thing that I managed to sell. Glorious breastplate there for 6,800, and a quick golden beryl for 3,000. So with a grand total of 32,000 on miscellaneous, and then purchases of other things that I didn't put a category to has left me down with 12,000 in costs. So looking at that, a 20,000 profit on the miscellaneous items. So what does that mean for our overall profit? Well, looking down at here, we have a grand total of 223,000 gold. Now looking at that and comparing it with my previous months, I could be quite disappointed. It is at least the price of a token, so I have got that to be thankful for. But the thing to bear in mind with this, if we go into the game and we have a look at my guild bank at the moment, this is where all my money's gone. I've still got lots of hardened tempest hide, lots of coarse leather, lots of shimmer scale. I've got an excess of tide spray here. I've got a lot of cooking materials, and I've got an excess here of bloodstained bones, some more shimmer scale there, and then even more mist scale, bloodstained bones, and calcified bones here. So I do have a fair amount of stock. Now I better be quick on turning this into enchanting materials, because the prices of enchanting materials are dropping quite rapidly. Well, they have already dropped quite rapidly, so if I don't turn this into enchanting materials soon, I'm going to risk losing my investment. So that's the gold that I've made this month. It's obviously not as high as previous months, but I've still had a huge amount of fun. I've invested in the markets and tried to adapt to them as best as possible. Obviously there's more I can do. So the question here now is, what can I do to make more gold? The Enchanting market profits have been really squeezed. Tailoring seems to be doing okay at the moment, although I do worry about the sinister gear getting cheaper and cheaper over time. Leatherworking in itself is fairly small but ticking along nicely. So long as I don't buy too much for the bracer shuffle, I should be fine on that front. Cooking, I really have to keep an eye on my spending of that. I seem to be buying way too much stuff versus the amount I'm selling, so I had to keep a closer eye on what I am selling and only restocking when I absolutely need to. So what else can I do? Well, given this situation, there's a number of things you could possibly do. You could play more often to keep on top of your markets. You could try and play not necessarily for a longer period of time, but I could try and go on more frequently at different times of the day, doing cancel scans and relists, but that all depends on what else is going on in my life, which at the moment is super duper busy. The other things I could do is get some of the other recipes like the Enchanting tomes, see if I can flesh out my existing professions. Or the other one, which is my current favourite idea at the moment, is to diversify more into more markets. Now, I still want to focus on professions at this time. I'm not really one for farming or transmog or flipping at this stage. I'd really like to get more professions in. So this is what I've done. I've started on Awakening, my alchemist and herbalist. So for March, we're going to diversify into at least another profession with that. And I'm also going to use my 110 boost that I still haven't used yet, and get another character up to BFA level, and I'm going to look at something like inscription and jewel crafting, see if I can get some more professions under my belt, and that way I will have my toes in more markets, and then I've got more opportunities to flex and change with different things. Now obviously that's going to require some investment, so I may not see immediate returns on my gold making in April, but it does mean I'll have more characters and more professions to make use of in future months, and then on in future expansions. So I'm not too despondent about the 223,000 gold I made this month. By all means, that's more than my target of being able to pay for my game time with a token, but given my previous experience, I would have liked that to have been quite a bit higher. So next time will be more professions and more diversity, and see what we can do with the gold making in April. But all in all, I've really enjoyed it. Again, another month. The time's just whizzing past. I've really enjoyed all your company on the live streams and all your comments you've made on the YouTube videos, and all the feedback I've had through the Discord with the Bracer Super Shuffle and all the other things that we've been doing over the month. And for that, I'm really pleased that you're all enjoying this journey with me. So here's to April. Let's hope we continue to have fun with gold making and exploring different aspects of the game, doing more dungeons, doing more PvP, seeing what else comes out with the next pre-patches or what other news is going to come up next. I'm still really enjoying BFA. Given my playtime, there's always something for me to do, and there's always goals to pursue, which for me is the real motivation of the game. So thank you all for watching. If you have any questions, please do leave a comment down below, or ask in my Discord, or when I'm live streaming on Twitch. All the links to those will be down below. So until next time, happy gold making, and I'll see you very soon.